She's the first female European UFC champion, holds the record for the most female title fights in the UFC, and is the only woman to win up to 10 fights in the UFC's strawweight division. I'm talking about none other than the charismatic Joanna Jedrzejczyk. Blessed with massive striking power, Joanna Jedrzejczyk is one of the greatest UFC female fighters of all time. She was almost invincible inside the octagon until she faced Rose Namajunas, a fight that changed her story forever. So what exactly happened to Joanna Jedrzejczyk? This video will uncover the true story of Joanna Jedrzejczyk. But be sure to stick to the end where we reveal her lifestyle and the massive amount of cash she has earned from being one of the baddest female strikers ever to step foot in the UFC. Let's begin. Joanna Jedrzejczyk was born in Poland on the 18th of August 1987. Jedrzejczyk has two siblings, with one being a twin sister born 25 minutes after she was born. As a kid, Jedrzejczyk didn't grow up with any aspirations to become a fighter. Jedrzejczyk didn't come from a family filled with athletes, so there was no roadmap laid out for what kind of sport she should get into. However, she was actively involved in almost every sport while in school, especially basketball. But just when she was beginning to love playing basketball, she developed a liver problem. Around the age of 13, Joanna was diagnosed to have her liver growing centimeters bigger than normal. This made it impossible for her to engage in any sport. But Jedrzejczyk needed a creative outlet that sports once provided, so she began dabbling in other activities including photography. Thankfully, the issues Jedrzejczyk had with her liver subsided as she got closer and closer to graduating from high school. And that's when she discovered martial arts for the first time. At 16 years old, Jedrzejczyk discovered Muay Thai kickboxing, which eventually led her to compete in national and European tournaments. At that point, to say that Jedrzejczyk fell in love with fighting would be a vast understatement. What started as an athletic endeavor developed into a full-blown obsession as Jedrzejczyk started going to Muay Thai classes 3 to 4 times per week. On the other hand, her parents were very concerned about the sport. Seeing their daughter come home with slight bruises on her body from hard sparring day wasn't something they enjoyed. However, Jedrzejczyk explained to them that the ability to fight was more like a blessing from God to her, and it was a career she was willing to chase. And that was it. That was the beginning of Jedrzejczyk's journey as a ferocious fighter. Jedrzejczyk competed in Muay Thai and kickboxing for 10 years, winning over 60 matches. Her amateur Muay Thai accomplishments include 6 IFMA World Medals and 4 IFMA European Championships, with a record of 37 wins and 3 losses. She also won other kickboxing championships, like the WKN World Championships, the J Girls Championship, WBKF Championship, WKF European Championship, and the WMC Championship. After obviously dominating the world of kickboxing, she stepped up her game once more by going pro as a mixed martial artist. She joined the Berkut Arasian Olsztyn team in 2012. The same year, she made her professional debut in MMA at SFT, MMA Fight Night Diva SPA, against Sylvia Juskovic. She had a pretty solid start after she won the fight via unanimous decision. She had her second fight on December 8, 2012 at MFC 5, where she defeated Lily Kazak by submission via rear naked choke. At this point, Joanna Jedrzejczyk was making headlines as one of the deadliest female MMA fighters in Europe. But to solidify her place as the best, she was slated to face the then #1 Russian female flyweight fighter, Julia Berezikova. This was one of the defining fights of her career. A young Polish lady with only 2 professional fights going against the #1 fighter in Russia. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you she was obviously the underdog of the fight. But Joanna proved how hungry to win she was. She successfully defeated Julia Berezikova in her home country by unanimous decision. It was a war, but Joanna Jedrzejczyk came out victorious. Less than a year after going pro, Jedrzejczyk was ranked the 7th women's flyweight fighter in the world by Fight Matrix. And as expected, she decided to join the big girls in the UFC. Jedrzejczyk officially signed with the Ultimate Fighting Championship in July 2014. She made her promotional debut in the strawweight division on July 26, 2014, at UFC on Fox, Lawler vs. Brown against Juliana Lima. She won the fight via unanimous decision. The hype surrounding Jedrzejczyk was real, and in her next fight, She faced then undefeated fighter Claudia Gadelha. It was an absolute war. You have to applaud the performance of both women. But at the end of all 3 rounds, Jedrzejczyk won by split decision. However, the judge's decision was met with much controversy, as the majority of the MMA media scored the bout in favor of Gadelha. But all that didn't matter, because Jedrzejczyk's 3rd fight in the UFC was for the strawweight title. At this time, Jedrzejczyk had become famous for her stare-downs at the face-offs and her incredible striking abilities inside the octagon. Jedrzejczyk faced Carla Esparza for the UFC Strawweight Championship on March 14, 2015 at UFC 185. The build-up to this fight was insane because Esparza had just defeated a very dominant Rose Namajunas to win the inaugural strawweight title. But the fight itself was a long shot from what anyone expected. That's definitely one of those days that Esparza was on her worst performance. Jedrzejczyk dominated from the first second till she knocked out Esparza in the 2nd round. Jedrzejczyk made history that night. She became the 2nd UFC strawweight champion and the 1st female European to win a UFC championship. She successfully defended the title 5 times before facing her biggest rivalry till today, Rose Namajunas. Jedrzejczyk was on an impressive 14-fight win streak. She was slated to defend the title against Namajunas, the first time both women would step into the octagon together. On the 4th of November 2017, at UFC 217, Namajunas did one thing and one thing only, and that's humble Joanna Jedrzejczyk in the octagon. Jedrzejczyk had trash-talked Namajunas during the pre-fight press conference and even during the ceremonial weigh-ins. But when they locked the cage at the octagon, Rose dealt with Jedrzejczyk with mystical strikes till she knocked her out. Thug Rose turned the UFC upside down with her victory, but it wasn't the end of Jedrzejczyk. Jedrzejczyk wasn't seen as being invincible in the octagon anymore. Her performance dropped as a result of that. She lost both a rematch against Rose Namajunas and another title fight for the vacant flyweight title against Valentina Shevchenko. Jedrzejczyk wasn't the same anymore. But in March 2020, Jedrzejczyk made a defining comeback in a match against Zhang Weili for the UFC's women's strawweight title. Before we talk about that, let's dive into the lifestyle of Jedrzejczyk and how much she's earned in the UFC. But hey, if you're a new subscriber to our channel, comment "I subbed" in the comment section down below and instantly get qualified for our monthly new subscribers shoutout. If you want a free shoutout in one of our upcoming videos, then go comment "I subbed" right now. Joanna Jedrzejczyk has made bank with her fight earnings in the UFC. She earned a purse of $100,000 in her 3rd fight against Esparza and has continuously earned 6 figures since then. Her biggest paycheck came after she defeated Claudia Gadelha for the 2nd time at the Ultimate Fighter, Team Joanna vs Team Claudia finale. Jedrzejczyk earned a whopping $300,000. She's earned a total of $2,292,000 in her career. But with sponsorships, endorsements, and investments, her net worth is estimated to be $4 million. She owns a beautiful 4-bedroom house located in Deer Beach, Florida, which she paid around $300,000 for. Jedrzejczyk also owns a fleet of cars, from her Mercedes-AMG GLC 4MATIC to her Porsche Cayman. Both have a combined worth of at least $120,000. As regards her relationship, Joanna Jedrzejczyk was once engaged to footballer Przemysław Buta. But in 2019, Jedrzejczyk openly admitted that they had separated due to some difficulties they faced in the 2 years they were together. Many of her fans have also attributed this to be the reason behind her downslide in her fight performances since 2017. But her performance at UFC 248 against Zhang Weili shows that those rumors aren't true. Joanna Jedrzejczyk and Zhang Weili put up what is still regarded to be the greatest title fight in the history of the UFC. Words can't describe how awesome this fight was. Both women went strike for strike, punch for punch, and kick for kick. However, Zhang Weili won the fight after all 5 rounds and retained her belt as a champion. The good news is, a rematch between Jedrzejczyk and Zhang Weili is scheduled on June 11, 2022 at UFC 275. Make sure you check out this other video showing on your screen, and bye for now.